when you're saying Holi against Hindutva, what are you essentially doing? You're adding a negative connotation to a festival celebrated by literally almost a billion people,
Right.
to because they are somehow now they have the burden of decrying this, imaginary Hindutva. Even
Right.
let's assume that even if Hindutva is real and whatever they're saying is real, why should the entire majority of Hindus be burdened to not celebrate their own festival because they have to decry this? If the same thing was when the same thing was done to Muslims, it was correctly called out as Islamophobia. Then
Right.
why is this not Hindu phobia?
Right.
Why does every Hindu have to decry Hindutva while celebrating Holi? It's like, it's like an unnecessary burden of guilt.
Well, it's like that's the thing, right? It's like if you go to a Indian restaurant to eat food, with every bite you're basically saying, I hate Hindus, but the food is good. I
Yes,
want to make sure that I hate Hindus, but I just like the food. It's like
yes,
doing that.
exactly.
So you
No,
can't celebrate a festival without having to abuse Hindus.
yes, but why is it that Hindus need to carry this burden, even if, let's assume, if all of this politics is happening? Surely you're not saying that all Hindus are Hindutva. And
Right.
if you are saying that, then why are you coining a new word? Why don't you just say Holi against Hindus?
Right.
Then that would be it, right? Then why?
Well, it's funny, right? Because it's there are so many echoes of this, like uh, with Bernie's campaign, we saw there's a bunch of people involved with this campaign who are like, they say we're against Zionism. They say
Yes.
we're against Zionism. We hate Zionism. We love the Jews. We love the Jews, but we hate Zionism.
But we
But
won't
it's
let
not
you
really
celebrate Passover
Zionism.
unless you actually condemn
Yeah.
Zionism. So you
Unless
have to
you
be
basically say, unless you're a Jew who says Israel doesn't have the right to exist, you're a Zionist.
yes.
So the standards for
I'm not,
Zionism are also very high.
this is one step further than that, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just the political opinions that you're targeting now.
Yeah.
Now what you're saying is Passover against Zionism,
Yeah. That's
right?
what it is. Yeah.
So
That's
let's
what it
also say, Christmas against colonialism. Let's
is.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But none of that happens, right? Because that is correctly bigoted. Why should
Oh, but
every
they hate Christmas as well. The only thing that they don't hate is like Eid. Eid is beautiful. Hijab Day is wonderful.
so then
That's
what?
where they are.
So then Eid against terrorism, right?
Exactly.
And that is bigoted, by the way. That is correctly bigoted. And when you saw the same movement happen in Europe, where we saw that every random Muslim was stopped and asked to condemn terrorism, that was correctly, appropriately called ridiculous. So
Right.
why is suddenly now Holi against Hindutva not equally ridiculous? Now,
Right.
actually, Ilhan Omar has spoken about this at length, and she actually yelled at everybody for repeatedly asking her for condemning this or that was happening in the Muslim world. But somehow that is okay, and we understand that point and appreciate that point when it's made in the context of Islam. But the
Yeah.
same exact point is not understood when it comes to Hindus. So
Yeah.
that is why Holi against Hindutva is fundamentally a bigoted concept.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that they are touting as a counter campaign which is Holi for Unity. It was not a counter campaign. It was simply returning the positive connotation back to Holi, right? Holi does not stand for this politics or that politics. Holi is a subaltern festival where people literally even forget their personal enmities. In fact, the Holi Milan is considered one of those times of the year when you go to the houses of your friends and family that you haven't had a chance to see for a long time.
Right.
All past, anger and issues are forgotten, and this is the time for celebration and the sense of community spirit. So that is what Holy for Unity signified. That
Mm.
is why the term was net positive. And
Mm.
it was the attempt was not about, not to get into the politics of Holi at all, or
Mm.
sorry, the politics of Hindutva at all, or what is happening in India, but to just simply assert the fact that Holi itself should not be attached to political campaigns.
Yeah.
And yet, in many campuses, it was actually not allowed because it was considered as a counter campaign.
Yeah, it sounds like what they're doing is that they're using Holi. They're saying if you celebrate Holi, then you basically agree with everything that Modi and the BJP does. That's
Yes,
what they're
yes.
linking it to.
And
It's like us.
which
Sorry.
is actually very interesting, because if you notice that all the senators and all the politicians that they're going after, and by they I mean the anti-Hindutva people,
Yeah.
There's also a students against Hindutva thingy.
Yes.
I think that's
They're the
happening.
ones that I think started the whole Holi against.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
the if you notice all the other things that Equality Lab and Students Against Hindutva are doing, it is actually also only targeting Democrats. It is targeting Hindu Democrats,
Yeah.
right? So what essentially
Yeah.
is happening is that if you are a Democrat Hindu, you must bear the guilt and the burden of what is
Yeah.
happening in India. And if that is not xenophobia, I really don't know what is.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is, and you're seeing kind of results of that as well. Where there was a tweet out by the founder, one of the co-founders of the Hindu American Foundation. She was talking about how the sort of uh, the Indian American vote, even though it's sticking with the Democrats, but it's consolidating around somebody like Joe Biden
Yes,
rather than somebody like Bernie Sanders, who really sort of encourages these kinds of people, these kinds of holy against Hindutva type folk. He's Their champion is Bernie Sanders. Their champion isn't Joe Biden. They hate Joe Biden because Joe Biden believes in, compromise. Joe Biden believes in like agreeing with people and working with a broad cross section of people. Whatever you may think of Joe Biden, but you're seeing that. You're seeing that. I don't know how tangible this is at the end of the day, but you're seeing a certain amount of like disgust in the Indian Americans as well, where they're saying, "All right, we're getting a little sick and tired
yes,
of being told that everything about our culture is disgusting and horrible, and we should be shunned."
yes.
So, and that's what is going
We
to
are
happen.
honestly being left no choice because
Yeah.
what is happening is Hindu Americans specifically, look, Hinduism at the end of the day, and the same thing you can see in India. India is a socialist country, right? Modi is actually far left of the leftist person in US.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the entire American population does not understand the simple
Oh yeah.
concept. The left and right in India are literally like poles apart. If
Yeah.
you were to put them on a line, on a
Yeah.
number
You take
line.
out the person from the policies, and you'll be like, "Is this Modi or Bernie? I can't tell."
No, no, no. Actually, Modi is much more advanced than Bernie. No,
Yeah.
but I'm honest. I'm being honest because if you look at it, Modi has not only Medicare for all or the Ayushman Bharat policy that was revealed was actually the version of Medicare for all that
Yeah.
India could afford. But we also have things. We also have policies that provide universal basic income to the lower populations. We have free food
Yeah.
for in through the rationing system. We have a lot of public subsidies that some are state specific, some are nationally implemented. The only difference between Modi's policies and any other socialist government's policies is that he also is fiscally responsible.
Yeah.
So he doesn't just impose a policy if he's because he has to. He also makes sure that he can pay for it. So
Right.
that fiscal responsibility is possibly the only thing that would differentiate him from other Indian socialist politicians. But
Right.
even so, all of the right, including if you look at RSS commentary on social policies, it is very socialist,
Yeah.
very, very socialist. In fact, some of the things are so socialist you would be shocked to hear them, right?
Yeah.
Even those are considered far left, far right RSS
Yep.
people. Because we say, okay, this guy is, I don't even know what he's talking about. We weren't even talking about, completely eliminating income tax.
Right.
If you remember during the campaign, in the 2014 campaign, there was a very big proposal that garnered a lot of weight, which is about we should eliminate income tax and we
Right.
should sustain ourselves completely on the other forms of taxes. So again, this first of all, this entire left-right business is completely screwed up. People do not have that understanding, and what is happening is now that people are trying to tell you that Modi was friends with Obama. He's also friends with Trump. How can you possibly expect that India is going to, not entertain the president that you elected,
Yeah.
right? If you don't like Trump, go not elect him.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's as simple as that. You cannot ask India and a population of 1 billion people who are aspirational, who are trying to rise up
Yeah.
the world ladder, to shun a leader because you don't like him.
It's also funny because it's the same people that are saying that the United States should be developing a better relationship with North Korea and China. They should be talking to China. You should be talking to them.
You should be
Why are
talking
you
to
doing a trade
Turkey.
war? Why are you fighting with them?
Don't forget
Yeah,
Turkey.
yeah,
Another,
yeah. Talk to Erdogan. Develop a relationship with Erdogan.
Yes.
Peace, not war, man. All that
But
stuff.
at the same time, you should abuse
Yeah,
Modi.
no, no, don't talk to Modi. Yeah,
Yeah, and the hilarious thing is that you expect Modi to not look at the interests of his nation because you disagree with the policies of your own president. That's your problem, not Modi's problem. Now,
yeah,
second thing, another important thing to understand, Modi was just as good friends with Obama. They
yeah.
had very good time together. They had a personal repo.
I
And
wrote a testimonial for Modi in Time magazine.
yes.
Yeah,
And they had a joint article in New York Times, I think, if I remember correctly. And Modi was one of the biggest supporters of the Paris Accord
right.
when Obama was there, and and him also had such the equally strong friendship. But nobody called Obama a fascist. Like, why is Obama not a fascist for hanging out with Modi? But suddenly, all these Hindu Americans who are Democrats, who vote Democrat, should now bear the burden because Trump is being friends with Modi. Like,
Right.
all of this, if you look at it at a higher level, this is only open and plain bigotry because they're not going after Hindu Republicans. They're going after Hindu Democrats. They're
Yes.
going after Amit Jani because they found a photo of him with Modi without giving him a chance to explain why he is a Democrat and also likes Modi.
Right.
Right? The die has been cast, the judgment has been issued that he is a fascist, and so he must be fired, and his livelihood and his politics must be destroyed.
Yeah.
The next person I think is they're going after is Rajeshwari, who's running from Queens. I
Okay.
saw that campaign yesterday. And another important point to highlight here is that there was a post I think you highlighted in your last show
Okay.
where they actually calling out for boycott of all Hindu candidates
Yes.
and union of on anti-fascist people to
Yes.
boycott all Hindu candidates. So the masks are falling, right?
Like, just imagine that. Imagine anybody in America saying boycott all Muslim candidates. Imagine the absolute shitstorm that's going to rain on that person if they said something like that. Imagine even the shitstorm that's going to raise on a person if they say don't vote for any Jewish candidates. But for Hindu candidates, it's fine because, screw
But
them.
they could get away with saying don't vote for any Jewish candidate
Yeah,
for a very long time in America.
yeah,
Let's
exactly.
not forget history, right? Anti-Semitism was very popularly supported by partisan.
I mean,
Uh,
today you have people that are involved with Council of American Islamic Relations. There are people that are involved with Bernie's campaign that are saying that Israel doesn't have the right to exist. You had a couple of days ago, you had Rashida Tlaib, the very progressive congresswoman from Michigan. She was wearing a T-shirt. She was promoting Linda Sarsour's book, and she was wearing a T-shirt where the T-shirt was basically it was Palestine without Israel. So it was basically just entire Palestine with Israel completely missing.
yes.
You have people that are openly supporting and promoting the idea of obliterating Israel. They don't get asked questions. They don't get asked questions. All right, what do you mean when you say Israel doesn't have the right to exist? What are we going to do with all the Jews that live in Israel right now? They don't ask them that question. But with Hindus, everything is fair game. So the point is that we're not asking, the point isn't that don't criticize Hindus. Absolutely criticize Hindus. They're deserving of criticism as much as any other person. Go for it. But what I'm saying is show some consistency.